In the time it takes to finish one stiff alcoholic beverage, me and my special guest, Zach Hoogkamp, are going to discuss local Maine wrestling. We're going to talk about and swap some stories about what it's like to feed off pain, and we're going to find out whether or not one alcoholic beverage that's hopefully real stiff will affect your ability to poorly summarize a movie plotline. So stay tuned for this episode of The Boondock Perspective,
where class is optional.
It's yet another carefree day in Maine, and you're listening to The Boondock Perspective, the show that not only loves new viewpoints, but it embraces them. Here with me this week to chat, laugh, and imbibe is Zach Hoogkamp. You may know him from the podcast Restless Shores, where he is several main characters. You may know him from his work in the Maine independent wrestling scene or in his work as on-air talent for WHSN 89.3. It's been a while since you were on air. It's been, what has it been, 2 years?
Oh, geez. Now that I think about it, well, with WHSN, at least 2 years. But since I've been on air, it's been about 7 months since I've actually been on the radio.
Oh,
so
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have that kind of personality where you'd be really easy to listen to on a
yeah. You can say it. My grandfather used to tell me all the time I have a face for radio.
Yeah, the perfect way to word.
So don't you
I
worry
didn't want
about,
to say you were ugly, but
don't you worry about offending me, brother.
I'd like to give the people at home just a little bit of background on yourself, so they know why we're here. I mean, we're here to talk about wrestling, right? But you're more than just a face in the ring, right?
Yeah.
So who are you? Kind of how do you?
Well, I mean, it's funny because like my journey here to Maine is so weird for me.
You're not from Maine originally?
No, I'm from New York. I'm from upstate New York. But it's so funny because my mom was single mom. She wanted to move up here all her life. She just loves Maine, and she ended up meeting a gentleman from up here who is now my stepfather. And they still, God love them, even though their bickering makes me question it sometimes. They're still in love. But she wanted to move up here for a long time, and I always wanted to go to school for communications, which was how I found NESCOM. And I sat there while I was looking for colleges, and I thought, you've got to be kidding me. You cannot tell me that this school is really in Bangor, Maine, 10 minutes from where he lives. You cannot tell me that. I immediately call up my mom, and I say, yeah, this school is in Bangor, Maine. She's like, oh my God, you got to apply. Lo and behold, I stayed. Found the love of my life here, and I mean, just so much has blown up for me because so many things that people said that I couldn't do in New York, I've been able to do in Maine, like get on the radio, like do the wrestling, like doing the podcast thing. I mean, hell, I'm here right now.
Yeah.
So
I've definitely experienced that. Is people. I was talking to somebody the other day, and they asked where I was from, and I'm like, I'm from Jackman, Maine originally, but I live in Bangor. I've chosen this place to make my home.
Yeah.
And there's, I hate Bangor. It's like,
why?
That's a really harsh opinion. Like, I mean, it's not New York,
right.
but there's a lot of opportunity here that people don't really see coming. It's like you can turn your weaknesses into strengths. You can turn who you are into a strength, and you can make a career, if not a career, a successful hobby out of just being yourself. Because people.
I mean, hell, look at we're bullshitting around having drinks in front of two microphones.
I know.
Now. I mean, come on.
Yeah, it's like I'm just doing this on a Sunday. It's like nobody. In New York, you could be doing this, but I feel like you'd be a little more criticized, or people would be a lot more critical that you'd be too overwhelmed to actually pursue something.
Oh yeah,
you get halted.
There were so many people, at least in the first school district that I ended up going to in New York, that were no matter what I was interested in, they were like, "Oh, really? You're doing that? You're doing that? Well, I bet you're not any good at it." I was like, "I want to punch you right in the fucking mouth right now." I swear to God, because it was just like everyone in that particular school district was just such a stick up their ass, wiping with freaking $100 bills. I was just like, oh my God, I hate every single one of you. But once I moved to Maine, it was so much different because like people were more welcoming and they were willing to say, oh, really? Well, tell me about this, tell me about that, tell me about this. What does this entail, or what do you do with this, or what are you expecting to do with it? And it's just such a different, such a different point of view. That I really have become accustomed to, and I've tried to adapt a little bit of that personality myself.
You probably live in the polar opposite of New York City now.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
yeah. You said something to me the other day. And by the other day, I mean 20 minutes for the podcast. Suspend your disbelief, audience. But you said something to me that I found fascinating. in how you would describe the place that you're living.
Yeah, so I currently live in Richmond, Maine, and it is just such a quiet little town. I'm pretty sure my wife and I are like the youngest couple there. I'm pretty sure, but it's just such a teeny tiny, so silent you could hear a pin drop in the middle of rush hour. It's ridiculous, but I'm convinced that if there was like an armed robbery going on at maybe 2 o'clock in the morning and you heard the gun go off and everyone's freaking out, you would hear maybe an hour and a half later, the same guy who shot the freaking guy he was robbing going door to door, knocking on people's houses and just going, I am so sorry about the noise.
Yeah. I mean, it perfectly sums up like every small town in Maine.
Oh yeah,
It's just
like,
so different.
I love how everybody in life, everybody that you meet, they always say, "Oh, I grew up in a small town." Listen, the entire state of Maine is a small town.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
even Portland is a small town.
Yeah. But I love it here. Like I wouldn't really have it any other way. Like now that you've been here, do you see yourself leaving?
I mean, maybe for a short period of time, but I mean, this is always going to be home for me. I mean, I've made so many friends here, so many experiences, so many memories. Really, I mean, there's nothing really that I feel like could get any sweeter at this point in my life because I'm very happy where I'm at. But I mean, it always comes back to Maine. Yes, my story started in New York, but I've got chapters upon chapters to write here in Maine, and I am extremely happy that I made it here. So.
Cool. Well, before we finish, we actually go down the rabbit hole and we start talking about your wrestling career. We have to figure something out. We have to conduct a test study. We have to figure out. We have to give you a sugar pill before you have your drink. You probably had a little bit already.
Yeah.
We have to figure out how good you are at poorly explaining movie plot lines.
Oh boy.
So my movie is You have 30 seconds. My movie is Speed.
Is what now?
Speed. Keanu Reeves.
Oh, jeez.
Do you know the plot?
No, I don't.
Oh my god, I need to pick another movie. I chose Speed because that's what everyone's seeing. That's like, it's such a memeable movie. Right
You know what the funny thing is, man? I criticize my wife about being cinematically challenged all the time. I need to also realize that there are so many cult classics that I have not seen as well. But like, she's bad, man. She hasn't seen Men in Black. She hasn't seen any of the Back to the Future movies.
Oh man.
Oh yeah. I have a list. I have a freaking list, bro. I mean, getting her to go see Godzilla King of the Monsters last night was torture for her. But she gave it the old college try. I'll appreciate that.
Well, I'm gonna get some slack for this, but I have never seen Star Wars.
Neither had my wife until we started dating.
That's what I need, dude. I need somebody to like be like, look, this relationship isn't gonna work out unless we watch Star Wars. And I'll be like, okay.
You know what the funny thing is? She was actually the one who suggested going to see it in theaters because she wanted to see Force Awakens specifically.
Oh, yeah.
And she was like, oh, this looks interesting to me. I know you're kind of into that stuff. I'm like, you just say it. I'm a nerd. Just say it. Say it one time. And then as soon as I said that, she was making Twilight references. I was like, no.
Stop. Too far. All right, I got a different movie. Have you seen Toy Soldiers? I'm trying to think of like bizarre movies that people may not have seen or may not remember. Indian in the Cupboard?
Yes,
Okay.
Indian in the Cupboard. I love Indian in the Cupboard.
30 seconds.
Oh, geez. All right. So, poorly describing this movie plot. 30 seconds. Jeez,
You're down 5.
I know. I'm trying to remember everything about the movie. Basically, little kid kind of steals a freaking figurine from his school, but at the same time also gets this weird ass cupboard that his brother's just kind of found off the side of the road. Puts the toy Indian in the cupboard, turns the key. Next thing you know, freaking thing's alive. And tries to stab him at first. They ended up becoming friends, and there's also this character called Boo Hoo Boone in it. It just comes with one giant cluster. And at the end, not even at the end, there's like Star Wars references, there's Jurassic Park references. Oh my god, I'm so botching this right now. It's ridiculous, but I'm trying to remember everything that I can in this movie, and I know I've already gone past 30 seconds.
I believe that's true, yeah.
Oh my god.
So that's the thing. Maybe alcohol will make you better at or at describing movie plots.
Maybe it would, but it might also help to see a movie that I've seen in the last 10 years.
Yeah, I haven't seen that in a very, very long time. It's been a very long time.
Oh man, you know what really scared me about that movie is I later on found out in life is the guy who played oh god, what was the character's name? The actual figurine. What was his character's name? Was it Little Bear or something like that?
I think it was Little Bear.
Yeah. It also
Littlefoot?
No, I don't remember. No, Littlefoot
No,
was
Littlefoot's a dinosaur.
It was weird as hell because I remember I was watching another movie that is absolutely terrible. It's god awful. I can honestly say that, but I still get a lot of enjoyment out of it. And I was like, wait a minute, why does that guy look so familiar? And it was the Mortal Kombat movie. And I realized that guy was also playing Nightwolf. And I'm like, oh my god, they're typecasting this guy. Yeah, and he's only in there for one scene.
This poor man.
What the fuck?
Thanks, Hollywood.
It's just so terrible.
All right.
How did we get here?
I don't know. I have no idea how we have arrived where we are. So I'm gonna take us onto the actual road that we're supposed to be on, and that's wrestling. You are pursuing a hobby / career / pastime / passion.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know if you're supposed to use / in English or you actually speak verbally, but I did. So
listen, English is my only language, and somehow I still almost failed it.
So you're pursuing this in a place that, frankly, I know nothing about really any of the sports that take place in Maine, especially like I had a boxer on here last season. Yep. I didn't know boxing was as big in the state of Maine as it is.
Yeah.
And apparently wrestling is the same way, and that's why I've invited you to come on, is because I want to learn about why it exists, but also like what it actually entails from you guys and how big of a crowd you're drawing out, and whether or not like because just by seeing pictures that you post on Facebook, I want to go to these shows and figure out what the hell's going on here in my backyard. You know, that I would have never known existed. Yeah.
Well, it's funny because pro wrestling it's such a stigma, and it always has been. You know, back in like in the 60s and 70s, it was like, oh my God, these guys are larger than life. And then as soon as the 80s came around, everyone was really starting to get heavier into the gimmicks, and it wasn't just straightforward, you know, guys in the black underwear and the big tall boots. You know, it was these people like, you know, the Iron Sheik or Macho Man Randy Savage. You know, these guys were becoming these larger than life characters, and that's when everyone started to think, oh well, this is this might not be real. This might be, you know, a little bit choreographed or whatever. And, you know, that's also when the crazier stuff started happening, was around that time period. And then you got into the 90s, where, I mean, you had names like Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock and, you know, all these guys that people now know all around the world. And I don't think I've ever met a single person who don't know those two names alone. Mm-hmm. And they may not even know them as the actors. Because I remember I said, I was going to see a movie with Dwayne Johnson in it, and I didn't say that to a friend. I was, hey, do you want to go see that new movie with The Rock in it? And they went, who? I said, excuse me? Dwayne Johnson, the Rock. If you smell what The Rock is cooking, that guy. They're like, huh?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh my God. But it's a weird thing because there are, I want to say, 5, about to be 7 companies in Maine. Yeah, I know. It's weird.
It's not just the one that you work for. Huh?
Well, I've worked for a lot of them. I've worked for NAWA down in Portland, which is run by a guy who calls himself Scufflin' Hillbilly Cousin Larry. Love that guy. I've worked for IWE right down the road here, out of Cityside Restaurant and Brewer. I've worked for Let's Wrestle in Orono. I have worked for
Cityside Restaurant. That's right there.
Yeah.
I can throw a rock and hit it.
Yeah.
There's a wrestling thing there?
Yes.
What the balls?
Has been for 10 years.
Okay. I just order burgers.
Did I just blow your mind?
You blew my mind.
Where was I? There was Avalanche Wrestling Entertainment, which I believe is going through a name change right now. But, I mean, the one show I did for them, the less said about it, the better. There's about to be Matt and Muscle Wrestling debuting in January. And then there's a new Main Event Wrestling coming out. Main Event Wrestling has already happened, though. I don't understand why they're just rehashing the name with a different person running it, but whatever. There's also Limitless Wrestling down in Westbrook, and right now they are the hottest thing in Maine wrestling. I mean, no disrespect to anybody who runs a promotion in this state, but I'm being dead serious. If you're a wrestling fan and you live in Maine and you have not gone to a show at the Westbrook Armory down in Westbrook, you are missing out because they have brought huge names in almost every freaking show. I mean, for crying out... almost had a party foul there.
Look, one thing I learned from other podcasts and other web series is always have paper towels.
Hey, all right. I'm just getting so hyped about wrestling right now.
Keep talking, I'll clean.
This is great. All right. They had a show where they brought in a guy who just started yet another company and did extremely well with their most recent event, Cody Rhodes, who is the son of Pro Wrestling Hall of Famer, the late great Dusty Rhodes, and his brother, another staple name from the '90s, Goldust. They had a match and it was fantastic. But Limitless is drawing almost 700 people every show, and yes, you heard that right.
It just doesn't make any sense.
700
from something I've never heard before.
It's insane, man, because like I really do feel like professional wrestling fans we are like a cult, because as much as the guys in the back, they're like, oh, we take this seriously, we don't try to buy tickets to shows, we're all still fans. One thing I hate about professional wrestling is like when you get into a locker room and like say there's a name that you grew up watching and you wanted to like just get a quick picture with them. It's like, I'm not trying to be the super fan or whatever, but you get those guys, oh dude, you're such a mark, I can't believe you're posing for a picture with a legend that we brought in. I was like, dude, you know what? At the end of the day, professional wrestlers are the biggest marks of them all, because we took the time, we spent our money to come to these shows, to train, to actually get in the ring and develop these larger-than-life personas that we think are larger than life, but really, they could be anybody off the street. And we just try so hard to be a part of this business that we all love, because it really is like a drug. When you are standing on one side of the curtain and you're waiting to walk out and you're waiting for that right moment in your music to hit, it's literally like taking every freaking drug imaginable, because the high is unbelievable. You get the people clapping, you get the people cheering, or even if you get the people booing and screaming, oh, fuck you, I hate your ass, I hope you get your ass beaten. I'll tell you what, man, the rush off of either of those reactions is so friggin' intoxicating.
Really?
It's not even, I can't even joke, because I feel so good. It's like, the way I've always pictured it is behind the curtain, yes, everybody knows it's Zach Hoogkamp. Everybody knows. As soon as I walk through that curtain, it's Matt Mahoney or it's Paradox or whoever the hell I've been. Immediately as I go through that curtain, every problem in Zach Hoogkamp's life fades away. And I'm just living in that moment. As soon as I get into that 12 by 12 or 17 by 17 box that I call my home and my therapy room, all bets are off. Don't even think about a single problem in my life. Like, I've never been in the wrestling ring and I'm about to be power bombed by 3 guys into a pile of thumbtacks thinking, oh my God, I forgot to pay my car payment. Never, not once. And it's just, for me, it is so much more relaxing than anything else. Like, I could
just getting the shit beat out of you.
Oh yeah, because I'm doing it, but I am getting the shit kicked out of me, and I am taking a lot of damage. A lot of people are always like, oh, the ring's a big trampoline. No, it's not. No, it isn't. Two of the rings that I've worked on have had springs in them. Those fuckers don't move. They don't move. They have a connection with me.
They don't move.
They don't move.
It's like,
yeah, like, don't get me wrong, there's a little bit of give to make it a little bit easier on your back, but at the same time, that's just there to keep the ring up. The first ring that I actually ended up having a match with was originally a ring from the 1960s. And yeah,
a lot of technology back in the 60s. They were real sturdy back in the 60s.
Oh yeah. And I remember I took a body slam on it that night, and I just immediately said, oh my God, this hurts a little bit less because I'm in front of a crowd, but Jesus, I hate this thing.
How? So this is fascinating. Like, I'm being very quiet, and it's because I'm just listening to you. This is. So I'm surprised it's here, right? I'm surprised that this even exists in Maine. But on the side, why is this something that sparks interest? Like, how did you get into?
So the funny thing is, I originally started watching wrestling when I was 5 years old, and I was spending the night at a friend's house, and I didn't realize that his older brother and his dad had stayed up late to watch WrestleMania. This was back, holy shit, this is legit 20 years ago now. So this was 1999, WrestleMania 15, and the main event was Stone Cold Steve Austin versus The Rock. And I woke up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, but I saw this on the TV, and I stayed out there for a little while to watch the entire match. And
You're sitting on the stairwell looking in the banisters.
Pretty much.
Nobody should notice me, but I really want to see what's happening.
Pretty much. And I'm just seeing these guys beat the ever-loving hell out of each other, but I'm seeing the crowd come alive. These guys are getting thrown into lighting fixtures. They're slamming each other on the ramp. And then finally, I see, Steve Austin hit that big Stone Cold Stunner. 1, 2, 3, wins the WWF title again. And I'm just like, oh my God. That was awesome. And I just kept watching from there. And finally, maybe 6 months later, I was like, I want to try this just one time. Just one time. I don't even care. I just want to get in that ring and get my ass kicked. Obviously, I was 5 years old. I didn't use that exact terminology. But, I always wanted to try it. And it stayed in the back of my mind for a very long time. And then when I was up here, there was a indie show that was being promoted under the original Main Event Wrestling, and they were bringing in one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. He's now working for WWE, but he wasn't at the time. He had spent his entire wrestling career away from WWE, but a guy by the name of AJ Styles, and no pun intended because this is his gimmick name, but he is phenomenal. No kidding, he is one of the best pound-for-pound wrestlers on the planet, and they had him in the main event for that show, and I'm just like, oh my God, I've got to see this show. I've always wanted to see AJ wrestle live. He's one of my favorites. I've got to go to this show. My wife, who we were still just dating at the time, shows up to my dorm with front row tickets. And it wasn't just the front row, but it was the VIP package with the early show, before the show meet and greet. And I'm just like, oh my God. I'm absolutely losing my mind. And the next day, I started to get that itch again. I'm like, I want to do this. I want to do this. I want to do this. Why do I want to do this? Why do I want to? So I messaged the promotion. I was like, do you guys offer training at all? And I had a response in a day. And they said, yep, we do. And, it was kind of on again, off again, training with them, nothing wrong with that. The only reason why I'm saying it on again, off again is just sometimes the guy who was training me didn't show up on time. He had to work, and, nothing wrong with that. But I continued to just train and train and train. And the more I got into it, the more I fell in love with it. And eventually, MEW got bought by IWE, which was run by Eric Johnson, who then took over training me because he didn't want me to just disappear, and he wanted me to at least get through the training as far as I wanted to go. And then the weird thing is, MEW was bought by IWE, which was run by Eric Johnson. Now the guys who were running MEW bought it from Eric Johnson and are running IWE. This is a weird love triangle. I'm telling you what, man. But I spent the majority of my career there. I won my first title there, and I also won my first heavyweight title down in Portland with NAWA, which was weird because I wasn't the fan favorite down in Portland. They had me be a heel, so I was the bad guy, which again, that was another extremely satisfying moment for me because I kept telling people, it was like, I want to try being a bad guy in a play or a show, a wrestling event, and people would always constantly look at me and they go, dude, really? Look in the mirror. You can't be a bad guy. You look too nice. And I'll tell you what, man, I became one of the most hated freaking people in that company. And it's been a while since I've worked anywhere, but I gotta tell you, man, again, getting booed or getting cheered, either way, it's such a rush. Such a freaking rush. It's insane. Huh. And I miss it. I have had so much fun with it. I was actually just at a show this past Friday, and I was just watching all my friends just come to life and do all these incredible things. And I've seen people that I haven't seen in years wrestling again. And I'm just like, oh my God, these guys have not missed a beat. And on top of that, they've gotten better. So it's one of those things for me that no matter what, I'm going to get a rush out of it, whether I'm sitting in the crowd as a fan or I'm in the ring as a competitor.
So what's it like to be the bad guy? Like, how do you get into a ring and just make the entire crowd hate you? Because if I was going to do it, I would just start pointing out people's flaws, which would make me the most hated person, but it also mean I probably wouldn't get called back, oh, that guy is sexist and racist, and I'd just be like, oh, you got gauge earrings, that's weird. Your nose is big, bud. How do you become the most hated person in the room?
Let me tell you something, man. It is so much easier to be a bad guy than it is to be a good guy, because to be a good guy, you really have to make sure that you've got the charisma for it and make sure that you can get a crowd behind you. To be a bad guy, it's so easy. I remember one of the nights where it was actually one of my first shows actually being a heel. and I acted all fired up like I would.
What does heel mean? Does that mean you're like...
that means I'm the villain. So like I know it's
why is that terminology?
I don't know. But that's been around forever. Like I know it's gonna sound weird, but do you remember the song "You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch" from Holly Grinch? There's actually a lyric that says you really are a heel. So.
Oh yeah, I always just thought it was like the heel of bread.
Yeah, the heel of bread is the best part. You shut your whore mouth.
Well, we have different opinions.
Anyway, I don't know why that terminology is there, but it's so ridiculously easy. Like one of the first nights I was a heel, like I was saying, I came out and I acted like I was all fired up, like I wanted the crowd to get behind me, and it was so easy. I immediately had them eating out of the palm of my hands. I was like, "Yeah, come on, let's go. We got this. We got this." I see a kid standing there for a high five, and I'm just like, "Oh,
my God,
this
dude.
is too perfect." And I go to high five him and I do the whole hair swipe thing, and immediately people were like, "That guy's a dick."
Fuck that guy, dude.
Exactly. But I had to keep evolving that because like that's simple shtick, and like eventually it just started incorporating a little bit of dirtier moves. Like I was doing the eye gouges a little bit more, doing the more blatant chokes, holding them in the corner for like 4 seconds or whatever, even though I have a count until 5. There was one incident though at Gino's Rock Club in Portland, which is one of my favorite venues to do shows, where I had a title defense coming up, and I was going up against one of my very good friends who is also a NESCOM graduate. Oh yeah, dude, well actually you'd be surprised how many NESCOM graduates are actually part of professional wrestling. I mean, I'm not. Yeah, dude.
I thought you were it, dude.
No. I would bring their government name into it, but I don't want to give it away. I'll tell you when we're done recording, but I don't know if you know him or not. But anyway, I was about to have a match with this guy, but they were like, "All right, listen, kind of get over as a heel, make sure that the crowd hates you and all that. So just cut a little quick promo before your match. Wait for him to get to the ring, grab the microphone." I was like, "Okay, I can do that." And every time I went to talk, there was this woman maybe 10 feet away from the ring who just would not shut up. She just wouldn't. No matter what I would say, no matter what I would do, she just had to tell me how much I sucked. And finally, I just walked right up to the edge of the ring and I put my arms across the ropes. I was like, "Lady, listen, here's the deal. There are 3 things that I can tell you right now about this moment that we're living in, because life is all about living in the moment. Number 1, I have a microphone, so I am naturally going to be louder than you. Number 2, I'm the guy carrying this company on his back because I have the title. So I'm immediately going to be more relevant than you. And number 3, the longer you talk, which means the longer I have to wait and the longer I stay out here. So either way, I'm getting paid tonight and you're going to have to listen to what I have to say. So you can keep talking and I can stay out here for the rest of the freaking night, or you can shut the hell up." Dead silence.
Just nothing.
The entire crowd starts booing me for a few seconds, and I was like, "I'll keep talking." They all shut up. And I got to tell you, man, it was beautiful because for the rest of the match, I just kept freaking talking. And every time that they start...
So according to my W9 here, I'm going to be getting...
Every time that they started booing, I just kept talking. I was like, "I can stay out here all night." And just boot the guy in the face. I can keep this up. Probably the best part of that match, though, and how I got my friend over as the babyface in that match, was so funny because I gave him this big body slam right in front of the corner, and I climbed up to the second rope, and the crowd, they start freaking out because I'm a big dude. They don't expect to see me fly. So I've got him right there. I know that I can hit this. If I just jump, I can land on him. I know, and I can do it safely.
What's the, like, you're saying jump. Like, what, are you trying to climb to, like, the second rope? And then
I'm on the second rope. I'm about to jump off on top of this guy and pancake him. I swear to God. But
dude.
Oh, no.
That'd be so scary.
Oh, no. It gets even better. So the crowd, they start going crazy. They're like, "Oh my God, no. And finally, I look at them all. I said, "If y'all don't shut up, I ain't jumping." So I go to like angle myself again. They start getting rowdy again. I said, "If y'all don't shut up, I ain't jumping." And finally, once again, dead silence. Absolutely dead. You could hear a pin drop in the place. And then I just look at them all and go, "You guys are idiots. I'm not going to put my life on the line for you." He gets up, punches me in the gut, puts one hand on my neck, one hand on my ass, and freaking hurls me across the ring. So I'm freaking flipping through the air, and as soon as I land, I sit straight up, and I just... What the fuck? And I gotta tell you, man, that was probably the biggest reaction of that match, seeing him hurl me across the ring. And that is all I care about, because at the end of the day, yes, you're supposed to put on a show. You're supposed to tell a story with every match. But at the end of the day, heel's job is to make is to make the baby look like a even bigger superhero. And at the end of the day, the babyface's job is to make the heel look like the bigger asshole. And I've had the chance to do both, and I love doing it all. It's so much fun, and like I've said a million times, I miss it. I need to sort some things out, but I cannot wait for this little hiatus of mine to be over so I can get back in there.
Why are you on a hiatus? I mean, if this is something you're really passionate about, because I understand. I can only do the podcast or the web show, a couple months out of the year, and then I have to stop doing it. So is it something similar like that, or did you get injured?
So I didn't get hurt, and
that's good.
It's not a thing of me wanting to, I am only able to do it during these seasons of the year. No, it's not. A lot of things started happening. Unfortunately, during this 6-month span, a lot just started taking place in my life, and I was diagnosed with severe anxiety and depression at a very young age. I was in 3rd grade, I think. So yeah, like that should give you a little bit of a spectrum of how bad it was. And I had just so many things going on. I had just gotten laid off from a job that I'd spent 10 months at, and I had promise after promise after promise after promise made toward me. None of them were discussed ever again from the day I got hired or anything of that sort. And then I was 2 months away from my wedding, and they laid me off. So immediately there, I'm stressing.
Yeah,
and
so
what made it even worse was my wife was flying out to Las Vegas for her bachelorette party that very night that they laid me off. So of course I was just a broken, absolute stress ball mess. So I had to figure out how I was going to pay my bills for the next few months to continue to pay for this wedding. We got through the wedding. The wedding was great. I had a great honeymoon. Just some of the best moments in the last 6 years of my life were made in that little 3-week span. But then I started to notice that it was affecting my wrestling as well, because I took the entire month, the entire second half of September off, because my wedding was in the beginning of October, and I didn't want any bruises on my face. I gotta look pretty. It's my wedding. I gotta look pretty. So I didn't want anything to go wrong or me to get injured before the big day or whatever. And then the rest of October, as soon as I got back from my honeymoon, I continued to take that off. And then I started doing a few shows here and there. Some I couldn't get to because of work, even though I was booked on it, but I made sure the promoters knew immediately. Finally, December rolls around, and I have this moment where I am so hyped up because I'm coming back to a promotion that I have not been to since June. And this was the place that I started. And I'm so excited because I'm doing the one thing that nobody in the company expected me to do. I'm turning heel in that company. Because I was always the guy who was like, if there was someone trying to take over the company, I was always the guy on the front lines. I was always the guy taking the beatings, getting hit with the chairs, getting thrown into the chairs, getting thrown into the audience, getting hit with a baseball bat, getting hit with a kendo stick, like I said, getting thrown into thumbtacks. I was always the guy on the front line taking the beatings. And then I come back and I drop the owner and I join the guy who put me on the shelf a few months ago. What? The entire audience was so confused. They didn't know what to do. So what did they do? They kept cheering for me. And I'm like, guys, I just beat down 2 people you love for no reason. They've done nothing to me. But, I was starting to ride that high again. And then almost instantly, a little while later, I'm talking to some people, and then I hear words that just cut me to the core. And one of the guys who is running the company, I'm not naming names here, but one of the guys who runs it, he comes up to me, and I have this whole mentality, and I know we're drinking now, but I have this mentality of sober thoughts become drunk words. And that is just how I've always seen it. And he comes out to me and
That's a really good philosophy.
Yeah, well, I mean, come on. Like, everybody gets more honest when they're, having a few. And I've always just felt that way. And he comes up to me and he's had a few drinks and he's like, oh, you got a good reaction tonight and, we're really happy that you're back. But here's the thing. This whole new stigma, this whole new storyline that you're running with, I don't expect it to work. I know it's not going to work because you're this guy. This is what you've been your whole career. And, we'll let you run with this for like 2-3 months, so 4 to 6 shows. And then we'll just drop you back on your head and you go back to doing what you're doing. What? You're giving me 2 to 3 months to make this work, and that's it? Like, come on, man. Like, I understand, you know, it's a tough thing when somebody decides to change from everything that they've done for their entire career. But the thing is, I wasn't happy being Matt Mahoney anymore. Don't get me wrong. I have a personal, emotional connection to the character because it was the first gimmick I ever had where I was actually a wrestler. You know, I had a few other joke names because I was, you know, escorting someone to the ring or whatever, being their manager for the night. But, you know, I still have that personal connection to him, but I wasn't happy doing it anymore. It started to get stale. In a way, I was just turning into Maine's John Cena, which I don't want to do. So I needed to do something different. I needed to take down a different path. And to hear that, I'm just like, you just got me all hyped up to come back, and you just took it all away immediately. And then I do another set of shows about a month later, and again, my anxiety and stress through everything was just through the freaking roof. Like, I wasn't even enjoying being there anymore. And it just, that killed me more than anything, because that was my escape from real life. That is how
that's how most people treat it in their real life
That's
anyway.
how I get away from everything, you know, again, because I'm not worried about Zach's problems outside of the curtain. Behind the curtain, fine, I'll stress about that. But the show, I got to worry about that right now. And then as soon as I go through the curtain, not Zach's problems anymore. But I was just having so much anxiety, and the first show that I did in the month of January, I had to leave early because, you know, it was just, you know, I was having anxiety about the weather because we were in that period where we were getting a lot of bad snowstorms. I was having a lot of anxiety about it. My wife was driving through it, and she didn't even know if I was done yet with the show. And, you know, that kind of turned into what it did. And so I had to leave that show early, and then we had that really bad snowstorm in, like, late January around the 19th, where, I mean, it's an hour and a half drive for me to get home from Orono. It took me almost 4 hours.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah, it was a long drive, and, you know, it came down to a point where the promoter for that show that I was working on, I had my match, but I had another little moment later on in the show that I had to back out of because my anxiety and her anxiety was just through the roof, and I couldn't handle it. And I asked somebody who was also helping run the show, you know, if I was going to be needed for the next one to do, you know, what I was supposed to do that night. And they said, you know, no disrespect, but, you know, the guy running it really doesn't feel like you really wanted to be there last show. So we're just, for this show, you know, if you want to come help out, it's perfectly fine. But as for actually having you wrestle, it's going to be a hard no. Right? And that killed me. That killed me because, like, one thing that I pride myself in, and, like, I don't even know if pride myself in is the right word, but I consider myself to be a very good bullshitter. I can put on a fake smile for as long as I need to. But when...
pride myself in is probably, I'm really good at faking things.
Yeah.
That's a weird, okay.
Yeah. But
weird thing to be proud of.
But, like, when I'm, like, feeling off, I feel like I'm pretty good at hiding it.
Yeah.
And I can just push through and then, you know, whatever. But, like, that killed me. And that somebody noticed that I wasn't enjoying being there, especially at a promotion that was giving me a chance. And I did really want to be there, but because of my anxiety going through the roof, I couldn't, like, be there in the moment. That killed me. And I have apologized to this guy so many times. And I want to work for him again. I really do. I want to keep pushing and trying to do that because he's been giving me opportunities to do things that I've wanted to work with people that I've wanted to work with for a very long time. And, you know, it just came down to that point where it's like, do I really want to do this anymore? Do I? Like, because I don't know. I didn't know. And that uncertainty, I'll tell you what, man, when you are so certain about something, because I've been, as of May 16th, it would have been, if I was still actively wrestling and not on this little hiatus, it would have been 4 years that I had been a competitor in the ring. And 5 years altogether, as like including trainee, ring crew, all that crap. But it would have been 4 years. And I'm sitting there thinking, what if things had been different that night? Would I still feel this way? And then I just go to a show to help out, 2 months ago for that same company. And, you know, we talk, and I say, you know, I'm really sorry about what happened that night, and I hope that, you know, you'll find it hard to forgive me one day. And he's like, no, you know what, I understand all the family stuff, you know, but hopefully we can work something out in the future. And you know, it really does boil down to the fact that I do want to end this hiatus. It's killing me not to be in that ring and being a performer again. You know, I have so many people that I want to work with. Either I haven't worked with them before, or I want to work with them again. And wrestling is supposed to be fun for me, and the reason why I left for a little while is because it wasn't that anymore, and I needed to find that again. And just going there and laughing with people and not taking everything so goddamn seriously, that's what's starting to bring it back for me. So I want to get back in the ring and train a little bit more again, and I just want to fucking do it, man. Like
it's hard to like be so passionate about something and then not be able to do it.
Right.
Like, so this is the second season of my podcast. Welcome to season 2, by the way. But I say this is the second season of my podcast, but really it's the third.
Wow.
Because we had a season that we tried this and we tried to figure out what we wanted to do. And it was me and a couple other guys. But then we decided, look, this isn't for us anymore. Like, we're all busy. This isn't working. So we had to kill the podcast. And it was like there was this whole year of just me feeling so empty that like there was this thing that I really tried. And it's really the first thing I've ever failed at.
Yeah.
It was the first thing I ever kind of tried, and it just didn't work.
Yep.
But it only took me a couple months until I was like, oh, you know what? I could rework this.
Yeah.
This is how I'll combat that issue. This is how I'll fix that problem.
Absolutely.
You know, and it's just an ever changing methodology of fixing something that is broken. Right. And so it took a lot of effort to get back here, but now then I had a successful season, and now I'm really looking forward to a successful season 2.
Right.
But breaking that, I was dead. It killed me.
Yeah.
Just the same way it killed me.
You feel like there's a void that cannot be filled, and you're like, all right, how can I get this back? How can I get this back? And then finally you hit it, and it's like, there it is. That's what I needed.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Yeah.
I'm hoping to have that moment relatively soon. Like I said, it's right now, it's depending on, you know, how quickly I can actually get myself back into a ring, brush off that ring rust, and, you know, I put my body through hell again, but you know what? I'm looking forward to it. You know, I have no plans on just ending it and just disappearing and, you know, without saying goodbye. I want to, even if I just do it for one more year, I don't care.
Yeah.
Because I did what everybody said I fucking couldn't do. And that is all that matters to me. It doesn't matter if I get signed to WWE or Ring of Honor or AEW. It doesn't matter to me. It was never about that for me. This, for me, was about proving everyone wrong. And I fucking have fun with it. That is what is important to me. So
Can't think of a better way to wrap that up.
You know?
We're going to get into some of those fun stories in a second. Like, you said you got hit by Tacks. Like, that's the most ridiculous sounding thing, and I definitely want to dive into that. But first, I got to interrupt the flow of conversation for a sponsorship. Hate to do it, but actually, this time I'm pretty happy to do it because I'm really happy to encourage and promote this guy. Saturday, September 28th, come see Brandon the Cannon Barry bringing boxing back to Skowhegan at the Skowhegan Community Center. Doors open at 6 p.m. with live pro and amateur bouts starting at 7. Purchase general admission or ringside section seating at the door or by calling Barry's General Store, 207-663-4461. Sponsorships are still available and all forms of support are welcome. Show some love for Brandon the Cannon Barry in Skowhegan, September 28th. So you've had a lot of experiences in the ring.
Yep.
And even though I still don't really understand wrestling, and I may never, I think people generally find it entertaining.
Yes.
So I got a couple questions for you.
Oh, boy.
First of all, you've said you've been hit by Tacks, but I don't know what that means.
Okay, so I made the horrible so this complete ridiculous story. We had a match scheduled as the main event one night, and it was a 6-man tag street fight. Anything goes. No disqualifications, no countouts, no nothing. Only way to win is pinfall or submission. And we had 3 guys who were originally supposed to be in it. They had a big problem with the company. I was still around. They're like, listen, we need you to fill this spot. We need you to fill this spot and be a part of this street fight. I'm like, whatever. It's against 3 guys that I like, and, you know, I don't care destroying my body for a night. I was like, who am I part of?
And you all get along with? Along with each other?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like, there's no actual hatreds between any of these people, these characters?
Are you kidding me?
No.
I
all
mean,
doing the same
don't
thing.
get me wrong. I've met some very less than desirable people, but, I mean, nobody that I can honestly say that I regularly associate with that I'm just like, oh, my God, why don't you just go jump in the lake? But they're like, oh, yeah, well, we got to make this a little bit crazy because, you know, people were expecting this, and now they're getting this. Not saying that we're not excited to wrestle you, Moxie, but, you know, we just got to kind of build it up a little bit there. So, like, what do you think? And I was like, well, I mean, just beat the living hell out of me. I don't care. And I mean, one of my favorite hardcore wrestlers of all time. He always had these giant black bags of thumbtacks under the ring, and I said, you know what? I can do that. I can bring a bag of tacks. And I did, and it ended up biting me in the ass because I was the one who ended up getting the tacks in my back.
How's that?
How's that work?
So first of all, how do you just take that? Second of all, how do you, as another wrestler, deliver that? And third, is that legal?
Well, on the taking it part, let me put it to you this way, bub. If 3 people are lifting you up and throwing you down, you don't have much of a choice.
Yeah.
So you're gonna get the tacks in your back. You know, that's all it is. So we had this moment all set up where I was going to, I slammed the biggest guy of that team down to the ground, and he's even crazier than me because he wanted to get slammed on Legos, which I'm sorry. I took one Lego out of all the tacks in my back, and I'll tell you what, the Lego hurt worse. I'll tell you what, man, it hurt worse. But I slam him on the Legos. I pour out all the tacks. He goes in the corner. I stand up on the second rope, and I start going for the 10 count punch. And I don't see his 2 partners walking up behind me. They club me in the back. I'm like, oh, God, I've already taken so much damage in this match. The guy who I'm punching in the head, he hooks his arms under my legs. The other guys grab my shoulders, and they just fucking throw me right into this pile of thumbtacks and Legos. And I got to tell you, man, the only thing I could do was breathe, let go, and just prepare for the stabbing pain.
I feel like that's how you lose an eye.
Well, I mean, that's why it was my back. So that's the moral of the story, kids. If you're gonna play with thumbtacks, take them in the back.
I just don't understand, like, how. So this leads me to I think the important question that's been on my mind and probably other people's. Is I didn't grow up watching wrestling because I always just was told, oh, it's fake. It doesn't matter. There's nothing in there that's real. So I don't think the question is it fake or is it real? I think the question is what's fake and what's real.
See, like the big discretion that everybody thinks of is the weapons. I mean, that everyone thinks that those are freaking fake. I'm sorry. I cannot point you in the direction of a store that sells fake thumbtacks. I cannot point you in a direction that sells fake ladders or fake tables or fake chairs. You can get plastic chairs or plastic tables, but guess what? Those fuckers still hurt.
Yeah.
I've seen guys, one of my very good friends who I don't care if I plug him or not, but he calls himself the ultra-violent technician, Rob Marsh. Whoa. This guy is fucking nuts. His profile picture for the longest time was him in the ring with 2 syringes sticking out of his head right above his eyebrows. The guy's nuts. He gets off on deathmatch wrestling. This guy plays with light tubes. This guy plays with cheese graters, staple guns, freaking anything that you can imagine for a weapon that would probably be up for assault and battery of some kind. He's done it. I guarantee. There was a show that hit.
How is this allowed? Why is this a thing?
Because some people are that freaking crazy and they don't care. There was a show that he did where I wanted to go up and kiss him just because it was so ridiculous, but it was so funny. One of his friends had brought in a freaking knockoff Nerf gun, but the darts had tack stuff down in them.
I made those in high school. Yeah, we made it. We turned a rocket launch Nerf gun into a nail gun.
Yeah, no, thank you, no, thank you. I draw a line at some point because I've been, like I said, I've been slammed into the tacks, I've been hit with chairs, never been put through a table, still on my bucket list. I've been hit with a kendo stick. I've even taken barbed wire to my head, which I didn't know that was happening until I arrived at the show. I'm not kidding.
It's just disgusting.
That's really I'm not even kidding.
It's just crazy.
I'm walking into the show. I'm just making sure that everything that we need under the ring is there for the match. And I look up and I see a baseball bat wrapped in barbed wire under the ring. Immediately, I put the ring apron. I put the ring apron down. I walk to the.
You're just like, I brought a pillow.
I find the guy who I'm wrestling that night, and I go, Sean, the hell did I just see under the ring? He's like, what? I was like, oh, you're talking about the pizza cutter, right? No.
Also, we'll get back to the pizza cutter.
No, the pizza cutter was dull as shit, so I wasn't worried about that. I was like, no. The cheese grater? No. The cookie sheets really did no. Listen, you're avoiding the damn problem here. He goes, oh, you found Barbie. Yeah, I found Barbie. Okay. what do you think you're doing with that? He's like, oh, a little rake across your forehead. I'm like, I'm gonna be freaking wiping your ass with that thing if you freaking do that to me. He's like, it's okay. Oh, you psychotic Texan bastard.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So who is your audience? How? Okay,
I'll
so
tell you
I
what.
don't want to insult you at all.
No,
right?
no.
I don't want to.
No, please go.
And the point of this podcast is I have no idea why I don't know why you do this. So I want to understand on what level for you is it fun to just bleed?
You know,
in
the
front
funny
of 400 people.
The funny thing is, I've never wrestled in front of 400 people. Number one. Number two, I actually have only been busted open once in my entire career, where I was like actually pouring blood, and it was my own fault. It was my own fault. I was doing a show for a company down in Connecticut, and I was working with three guys who I knew, two guys who I didn't really know, three guys who I didn't really know. Because this funny little story. I was going to this show, didn't even know that I was actually going to be booked. They just said, hey, we got an extra guy. Can you find a spot for him if you can? Yeah, sure, no problem. We get down there. I'm told that, all right, so you're going to be on second. You guys are the triple threat tag match. You're going on right before intermission doing your promo about how you're hurt and you can't do your match tonight. You're bringing your replacement opponent. And then he looks right at me and he goes, there's my big man. You're in the main event. And I go, say what now? I'm in the main event? What's the main event? He goes, it's a 5-man scramble match. 5-man scramble match? Okay, well, that shouldn't be too bad. How long do we got? 25 to 30. I immediately start looking at my gut. I'm like, you expect me to go 25 to 30 minutes in this match? And then I start breaking it down in my head. I was like, wait a minute, hold on, there's 5 guys here. Okay, we can make this work. 5 minutes for each guy in the match. Okay, that'll work. We then find out that there's going to be another guy being entered in this match because his opponent didn't show up. And I'm like, okay, I can work with that too. And I was, again, working as a heel. And the other 2 heels in the match, we all get into this big argument over who's going to get this pin. So we're doing the whole, big move gets hit. One guy pins, the other guy pulls him off. The other guy pins, we both pull him off. I pull that guy off. I go for the pin, they pull me off. I'm looking at both of them, I'm like, what the hell are you guys doing? You guys have been in this for 10 plus years. It's my time to shine. And I see them mouth the words super kick. So I know what's coming. Mm-hmm. I forgot to turn my head. So 2 size 12 boots, bam, right in my nose. And I'm immediately just gushing blood. And I'd already been kicked in the nose earlier that night by a guy who does not wear regular wrestling boots, but he wore combat boots.
Jesus.
Oh yeah. So my nose was 50 shades of fucked up. But not broken. That's the weird part.
But not broken.
Just
every blood vessel in it.
I get to the back. I'm crawling all the way to the back because I'm just like, oh my God, I just want to get that done. As soon as I get behind the curtain, I stand right up. I'm like, woo, all right, that's all right. My friend Ben comes right up to me and he looks at my nose. And he's like, oh my God, dude, we might have to drive you to the hospital tonight. I'm like, what? Why? He's like, dude, your nose is all black. And you're bleeding. I'm like, oh my God, no. My wife cannot know that I broke my fucking nose tonight. I cannot. I go to the bathroom and I look, and sure enough, it's all covered in black. And then I go to rub it, and it slightly disappears, and I look at my fingers, and I'm like, that's right. One of the guys was wearing black body paint. My nose ain't broken, bitch. I was more excited by the fact that I didn't break my nose rather than over the fact that I didn't take as much punishment as I was expecting to in the match. I was just more excited. Oh, thank God somebody was watching out for me. I didn't break my fucking nose.
Jesus. So I just think I'll never be able to understand what it's like to actually go through that.
It's a hard thing to understand because, like, I will admit right now, wrestling fans are weird. I will say that right now. Wrestling fans are weird.
Capitalize.
Oh yeah. But the thing is, people are going in there to expect violence.
Yeah.
And, there are some guys who are expecting to see, the big, 540 flips off the top rope. Obviously, you're not going to see that from me. Mm-hmm. I'm the guy who's lifting 2 guys up onto his shoulders and then driving them down to the mat. And that's combined 500 pounds. That's me. I don't do all the flippy-dippy nonsense. I can't do the flippy-dippy nonsense. If I'm standing up, okay, I can do 1 flip. That's it, 1. But besides that, I mean, people just go to see people get the shit kicked out of them. That's really what the bottom line of it is.
I guess I need to go.
And, yeah, we get hurt, but you know what? At the end of the day, we look at it this way. We're putting on a show.
Yeah.
And we are having fun doing it. So, yeah, it might come at some physical cost, but, I mean, if you know what you're doing, you know how to protect yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, some stuff like being put through a fucking door covered in pine cones.
Hit with tacks.
There's not literally
barbed wire on the forehead.
Oh God! Stop.
Gee, so okay. So you got a minute. Tell the people why they should go to a wrestling match, because I'm still not. I'm like it took 45 minutes right to get here, and I'm like, oh okay, I consider it. What is the short synopsis of like? Here's why you should go watch wrestling, because I don't understand it fully, but I'd like to go experience it. So, what is the experience of going to watch a wrestling match actually like?
So, the way I can put it is every wrestling match is every wrestling match is a story. It really is, because it is that ultimate, cliche of, good versus evil or whatever. Sometimes it can be good versus good. Like, I mean, just throwing it out there, Captain America Civil War. It's just a constant storyline. And on top of that, you are seeing people become real life superheroes and supervillains, because you are probably thinking, like you've said a million times, you don't understand how people can put themselves through this crap.
Yeah.
You really don't. But at the same time, what's even more amazing is seeing these guys get up and continue to fight. I'm going to tell you something right now. There is a rush to it, and there are so many kinds of wrestling. There is the straightforward wrestling. There's the strong style, Japanese style wrestling, where they're really just beating the shit out of each other. And then there's comedy wrestling, which makes it even funnier. It really is just like watching a big freaking soap opera, except all the actors have been replaced with guys who are wrestling over a belt, even though none of them wear pants. Did I get you there?
Oh.
It's a fun time, and if you can suspend your disbelief for a little while and not be so hypocritical and be like, oh, well, that guy just slapped his leg when he did this move, or he made sure that guy didn't land directly on his head. You just go and have fun with it, because I'll tell you what, when you can finally let go, it's so much fun. Like Gino's Rock Club, for instance, I can tell you right now, maybe 20% of that crowd that we get there are actual wrestling fans. Other people, they just paid to get in the bar, and they get into it, man, because they forget. And yes, maybe a little bit of alcohol has something to do with that, but hey.
Oh, look at that. Someone finished their drink.
It helped me.
Well, I think as you finish your drink and as I finish mine, I think that symbolizes pretty much that the conversation has come to a close. But we still need to figure out whether or not you're better at summarizing movie plot lines. You forget we were doing this?
No, I didn't.
We're back.
Oh, boy.
All right.
All right.
I got to find a movie here.
All right.
All right. I'm going to try and dig a little deeper into the 90s with a movie that I think you've probably seen.
I feel like this would be even funnier if I did one of my voices of the characters that I do on Restless Shores.
Yes. All right. So what's the name of the character?
So the character that I mainly do is a character called Milton Rube. I would like to point out I am the third youngest member of the cast. I play the oldest character. And basically all I'm doing is a shitty impression of Mr. Potter from It's a Wonderful Life.
Okay.
That's literally what I'm just sitting there in front of a microphone for 15 minutes talking like this. And it is so much fun.
All right. Okay. So Milton? Did you say
yeah, Milton Rube.
All right, so as Milton, I want you to summarize the plot of Eric Bana's The Incredible Hulk. Oh my God, am I just naming movies you don't know?
No, dude, it has been so freaking long. I couldn't tell you a thing about that
Just
movie.
summarize the Hulk.
Summarize the Hulk as
What
Milton Rube.
is the Hulk? And I'm going to give you 20 seconds.
Oh, jeez. Basically, well, let's see. The Incredible Hulk, he was contaminated by gamma radiation. You would never find that at Root Pharmaceuticals, and get my point. But he was contaminated by gamma radiation, which allows him to become this incredible Jekyll and Hyde hulking beast, no pun intended, to just absolutely destroy everything in sight, including his own insecurity. He's such a dick when I become Milton. I'm sorry.
This is incredible, dude. You need to do this guy all the time. Milton is an amazing movie person summer upper. I want to hear him sum up. Who is? Oh, that's a controversial one. Thanos.
Oh, Thanos?
Who is Thanos according to Milton? No spoilers because I believe in Avengers wholeheartedly. I saw it 3 times.
Thanos calls himself the Mad Titan. He is just a man who's trying to bring balance to the universe. However, I can't understand how he's doing that when he's portrayed by the same man who played the older brother in the classic film The Goonies. I just can't understand how you are intimidated by a man who roamed around with a sweatshirt with the sleeves cut off and a bright red bandana. I can't see how that man is going to save the universe by just doing this. I don't get it.
Jesus. All right. So I think it's official that you're better. I don't know if it's because you had a drink of alcohol or if it's because you just chose a character to do. But I think alcohol made you better at summing things up.
Oh my god.
That's incredible.
I hope the people who work for Wrestle Shores never see me do that. Because they're going to keep asking me to do that constantly, and I've already been asked to do a lot of ridiculous things in that voice. I was asked to rap as Milton Roop the other day.
Oh, my Lord.
And I just because it was the first thing that popped in my head, I started doing Eminem's Kill Shot.
Wait,
God.
do you actually know it?
I
know all the words to Kill Shot? That's a tough one to memorize.
I know a majority, but I don't think we have time for that nonsense.
I know. Jeez. All right. Well, I'm going to give you a little bit of time to address the camera, address the people at home, and tell them kind of what you got going on in your life, who you are, what's going on. So maybe if they like this conversation, they can look more into your career, either as a podcaster or as a wrestler. So just tell the people how to find you.
All right. Well, of course, you can find me on Facebook. On the actual wrestling Facebook page, I'm listed as The Big Deal Matt Mahoney. The heel name, not actually what I go by. I swear I'm not that big of a douchebag. You can also find me on Twitter at Zach Hoogkamp, even though I'm trying to get better at using that. And Hoogkamp, by the way, Hoogkamp. If you ever have trouble remembering how to pronounce it, easy. Think of a hooker in a tent. You got it. So, I'm trying to think if there is anything else that I've got going on right now besides Restless Shores, which drops every Friday, and I constantly post links to that. Hopefully you guys will see me at a wrestling event sometime soon as I get through this little hiatus. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I'm going to be doing that I have coming up. No, I don't think so.
All right. Well, it was a pleasure having you on.
Yeah, thank you for having me, brother.
Remember, on top of being available for your viewing pleasure on YouTube, you can also download the podcast on iTunes and hopefully soon Spotify. Also, make sure you add the Boondock Perspective on Facebook and Instagram for sneaks peeks and highlights. Sneaks peeks and highlights. It's not really alliteration, but that got me. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Son.
I need to enunciate. All right. Until next week. There's this.